Hello everybody. Here I am on a rainy afternoon in San Diego, reaching out to Cork, who are also experiencing the same rain. And there's Dado De Cogain, or Barry Cogan, as he's known to the wider world, on the call with me. How are you doing, Dado?
Fine out entirely, and it's cool here. We had a little bit of frost this morning, but we went out for a walk in the sunshine. It was only beautiful.
Isn't it great to have a bit of sun every now and again? But tell me this. I know most of it, but the people that might be watching now mightn't. Tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm around for a long time, and I was involved in all sorts of activities here in Carrigaline and in the county at large. I was a public representative for 30 years in the local authority, Cork County Council. I was in Dáil, that's the national government, for a term, and I was in the Senate, that's the upper house, for a term. But I'm still involved. I'm not retired. I'm a full-time voluntary community activist. And Coldair takes up a lot of my time.
So, how long have you been part of Comhaltas?
I never wrote it down, but I'd say it would be over 40 years. Over 40 years, I'd say.
And who introduced you to the idea of Comhaltas? Where did it come about in your life?
Well, I was a member of the Carrigaline Pipe Band for a short while, and I always had a great love of Irish music and singing and dancing. And we said we should try and foster it here in Carrigaline, and we started a branch of Comhaltas over 40 years ago.
And did you ever take part in any of the competitions yourself?
Oh, I did. I took part in dancing, and I was the drummer in the senior Cayley band, and I was involved in both figure dancing and set dancing, and also in storytelling. I won a good few titles. There was no national title in storytelling when I was competing, but I won the county several times, and I won Munster, which is the divisional championship, and that was as far as it went. Now it's all in All Ireland, and storytelling is a great part of our tradition in Ireland.
And tell me, what's the highlight then of the past 40 years within your time in Comhaltas?
Well, I suppose the highlight would be when our branch, I was formed a branch in Douglas. We started I'll come back to the highlight in a minute, but just to tell you that we formed a branch. We started a Gael school in Carrigaline, and then we started, that's Aisling, my wife and myself and others, we started a college, an Irish college, a secondary college, a man's school. And one of the members there said she was interested in starting Comhaltas. Well, she didn't say it to me, but she got on to her friends in Dublin. Our brother-in-law was in the national, in the headquarters, and they said, get on to Barry Cogan or get on to the Cogans in Carrigaline, and they'll tell you all about Comhaltas. So we then became involved. We were involved in the board of management and involved in the embryo school. It was just started the first year, and 5 families started Comhaltas in Douglas Comhaltas. And our first class was a class of 6 with 1 teacher. And I don't know if any of the body looking in or listening in would know Eric Cunningham. He was our first teacher. And his brother Joe joined us when we expanded in the next year or the following year. And we went on from there. But you asked me what was the highlight. The highlight was when our branch of Comhaltas hosted the Munster Black Hole in Cork City in 2017. And that was a marvellous feat and marvellous occasion. And for me, that was the highlight.
And that was a great event. I was lucky to be home for it. Myself and Jimmy Crowley played a great gig at it. And just going back there on your first teacher, who was also my first teacher on the Bowron, was Eric Cunningham, and started me on the road. of playing the Bowron many years ago in Comhaltas Na Dúglaise. But there was always music in our house. Was there always music in your house when you were young?
Not really in the house. My father and my mother weren't, but my uncles on both sides played music. My uncle James was a piper. My first cousin formed the Carrigaline Pipe Band, and my uncles on my mother's side were bagpipers as well. But we were always, there was always crack in our house, and there was always sing song, and we always had fun. But we didn't have musicians in the house at that time.
And would there have been much traditional music and a lot of bagpiping, you say, but would there have been much traditional music or traditional dancing or set dancing?
No set dancing when I was growing up. I was 30 years of age when I learned my first set dance, and over the years I have been learning. And 2 or 3 years ago there, I was on one of Johnny Madden's trips with you out in the wherever
Caribbean.
we were going, the Caribbean, yeah, or some place said the Caribbean. I learned 2 dances there, so I had 35 on my checklist, and I learned 37 dances with 6 parts. In most dances, there might be the odd one with 7, the odd one with only 4 maybe. But that's a lot of dances that I learned over those years since I was 30. And so there was none in our own locality at that time at all.
So when did set dancing become part of Carrigaline and part of Comhaltas?
I think set dancing took off very much when it became a part of the score competitions. Score would have been the GA cultural activities and competitions in the winter time and the early spring. So we took up set dancing at that stage, and it's all over the place. We ran a Cayley in Carrigaline, a Cayley Moore in Carrigaline, and we had up to 400 people at Cayley's there. It was the mecca of Irish dancing in Ireland. It was renowned. We ran it for 20 years.
I remember some great Christmas Cayley's where the whole ceiling would be full of tinsel and golden balls circling around in the glow of the night, and about 400 people dancing in unison on the floor. It was absolutely magic. Magic times to the Abbey Cayley Band.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And to get people together and enjoy Cayley, the sing song. You must have people. You have to have people to make it happen.
And so you set up Carrigaline and then Comhaltas Na Dúglaise. And what made you then develop more branches? What was the drive for you to create more branches?
Well, I suppose people got to hear of what we were doing, or I met people in different locations, and they said, would you ever come out and talk to us about Comhaltas? These were parishes within the county that didn't know much about Comhaltas and never were involved. And that was I was encouraged and invited by people in the different areas. And I went out and spoke to them, and one area they came back and said, well, they come out and speak in. And the procedure is that I could speak to them, but I couldn't set up the branch. The county board would have to go through officially. We proposed that they form a branch there. Then they'd have to come out with the chairman of the county board and another officer and formally preside at the election of office and so forth. But she said, we want you out because you put steam into them. So that's what we did. We would out and give them another pep talk, and went back in and formally formed the branch. And we are still in close contact with all those branches, and we have great camaraderie and great camaraderie. One group of branches where we have an annual get together. So Newcestown and Ballinasbittle, Courses branch, and now Clonakilty have joined us as well. And we go around every year. We go to a different branch venue, and it's great. Maybe up to 70 or 80 people, whatever turns up, and we treat them to hospitality, or the host branch treats them to hospitality. But it's great for us because we don't have to travel to the next state or anything. We travel a few parishes away. But that's how vibrant Comhaltas is in County Cork. That there are many, many branches throughout the county. 26 branches, and then there will be other groups that will be trad groups. They mightn't be affiliated, but there's so much Irish traditional music. It's fantastic, really.
And then looking at the great successes that you've had building up branches, what are the challenges that you've come across, or what are the struggles that some branches in their very fragile moments would have to expect? Looking here in America, building a branch, what are the pitfalls to avoid?
Well, I think the most important thing is to get people playing music. Well, I remember that would be my advice to every branch I went to. Have you somebody to teach music, and start with a whistle. And if you have somebody that doesn't teach the whistle in the locality, go to the next branch or go to somewhere and learn how to play the banjo or the fiddle or whatever. I was in one of the branches and I said, take for instance, we have a banjo player inside, that was Joe Cunningham. And if any of you wanted to learn from Joe Cunningham, you're welcome to come into our branch. We'll teach you, but we won't allow you to join. You play with your own branch. So one of the lads said, that was always my dream to play a banjo. And he was playing a bass guitar in a little group. And he and his son and two daughters came into the branch, and his brother and the brother's son. We had 11 from Newcestown coming into us one time. And he picked up, played the banjo. He said there wasn't a banjo in their parish for 45 years. And now they have rakes of banjos and harps and fiddles, and they went over recently to Disneyland in Paris. Last year they went over to Disneyland in Paris and put on a live show there. It was as good as it was purely professional. They got in. They have one of their musicians, one of their teachers is a dance teacher as well. So they have everything. They have dancing, and they have all the music, and they have the singing, and they have the storytelling there. And they had nothing about 15 years ago. Nothing. They started from scratch.
That's a great story of success. And have there been...
That's only one branch. Like you could say the same about Ballinspittle outside there, and we started a harp. It was a dream of ours to start a harp in Douglas, and we ended up last year. I think we had 20 learning the harp, and outside in Ballinspittle they asked us for connections to know where would they get a harp teacher, and they're bounding the Atlantic Ocean. They're the more southerly part, one of the more southerly parts of the county, and now they must have 10 or 15 that are playing the harp, and they have uilleann pipers all over the place. We've an uilleann piper. Not our branch, but there's John Mitchell is an excellent teacher, and he has taught people from all the branches around. He has a couple of hours in Douglas, and they're proficient. One fellow, Tomas Welsh, Tomas, he plays the box with us. He has taken up the pipes, and he is proficient at them now. Full set of pipes. He's flying it.
And tell me, Ireland seems to be doing very well with traditional music, and it's going strong. Is there still the need for Comhaltas and Comhaltas branches to be a part of that?
Well, I think that was probably the founding fathers of Comhaltas. It was set up in 1951, so it is 70 years on the road this year. And that was their ideal, was that it was to foster our own traditional Irish music, singing, dancing and storytelling, agus an tongue. And they held to those principles all the way through. And I think that Comhaltas in here, we have 26 branches, we're up to 27. It's always moving up and down in the county. Then we might lose a branch because somebody, for one reason or another. And we try to rejuvenate branches. And it's important to bring new people along with you all the time. But the whole secret is to get people playing together. We have an adult group, and there are everything is turned to Zoom just at the moment now because of the pandemic. So that's the big loss. We used to have our location inside where we had the school where we used to teach was a Gael school by day. And in the evening time, we come in and we had over 20 teachers teaching over 400 people learning. At the moment, everybody misses that because we had the gathering room was the soul and the fact was there. People came in, sat down and played. The youngsters playing with 3 generations sitting down playing and singing together. And I counted one night 90 people just sitting around. All the classes were going on in 20 locations around the hall, around the school itself. And here we had 90 people inside. The carol going on in the middle, people having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and sitting down chatting. Some of them are Gaeilge, but and more of them just sitting down doing along the knitting or falling and play away with the lads in the middle or whatever, pure crack. Everybody misses that. But we're on Zoom now. We have over 20 Zoom accounts in the branch, and each teacher has his own. We are funding the Zoom accounts, and the teacher works directly with the pupils, ticks off who attended, ticks off what tune he plays, and that information comes back to the control unit. Ashling is in charge of that, and the 2 or 3 members of the branch know every night how many attended, how many. Everybody, by the way, is registered online now. Everybody registers online, and everybody gets every bit of information online at the moment.
And tell me, now that everything can be like spread to the world, how valuable do you think is it for? How valuable do you think it is for Comhaltas branches to be expanding and to be expanding outside of Ireland?
Well, we have branches all over the world. Like I don't know if everybody knows. Like probably if you get through, you'd read it. We have branches in Tokyo. There were 2 KD bands came from Tokyo to the Coldair a couple of years ago, and both of them got a standing ovation from a capacity crowd of 2,000. It was only electric to see these group playing. And then we have branches in, of course, that I don't know how many in America, but the East Coast and the West Coast, and mid-America. Like there, I know some of the personalities from America, but there'd be branches in Russia, and they're literally scattered all over the world. South America, we branches of Comhaltas throughout the world. You know, there are quite a lot of them. And at the moment now, they're doing the headquarters are sending out some classes on line. You know, they're sending out some classes online. By the way, we were talking about online, we have some of our teachers, one of the teachers up in Tipperary, another one in County Clare, and some of our members that are learning are cocooning. One fellow's way down in Baltimore, not Baltimore in America, no, Baltimore in South in West Cork, and he hasn't come up since last March. He was down there, they have a family home down there, but what he misses is a gathering, but he's down there and he's learning the banjo, learning tunes in the banjo. And we have 40, over 40 in the group. There were 42 just before Christmas. We just started now, restarted again, so it's about the same anyway. You know? And one of the members is from Canada. She was over on holidays and she was looking for Irish music, joined a group of choral, and when she went back over to Canada, she said she wanted to join the Zoom group of choral. So how about that?
That's fantastic.
So if anybody from America, and they can be out in the west coast of America, they can zoom in. The Coldair headquarters are putting up posts, putting up tunes, and you can, I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
We are, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you can tune into them if you want to join us. Anybody wants to join, we started a whistle, a beginners whistle class just after Christmas 2 weeks ago. So we have every instrument. We're teaching harp. We're teaching everything.
And what's been the most rewarding thing for you over the past 40 years in the setting up of the Comhaltas Branches? I know you've set up over a dozen in your time, or been involved in the setting up of a dozen or more. What's been the most rewarding thing looking back?
Well, I suppose the success of the branches has been the most rewarding, and I seem to be more involved in Comhaltas now than when I ever was involved in our own branch. It has got so big and so ambitious. We did a concert for our own Cork City Council there before Christmas, and it was commemorating the War of Independence in our own city, and we did a small slot in that, and we have been asked to do a full-blown concert. We were hoping to do that, but the thing that what's most rewarding is so many people. There are people in our branch that they were over 50 years old. One person, she was trying to pension, more than one, and they started to play music, and they made a success of it. And then all the children that are taking up music, and to see a youngster that came in as one of our own members, Joanne Quirk, and she joined when she was 14. And she had some knowledge of the piano, but she took up the whistle, and she became an All-Ireland champion whistle player. And like when you become an All-Ireland, you become a world champion, because, like we were saying there, it's open to America. By the way, Britain have a lot of branches in Britain and Scotland. They're all over the place. And that she then took up the flute, and she won 2 All-Irelands on the flute, and she has been nominated for international, she's an international adjudicator now, and she's highly qualified. But she started as an enthusiastic youngster with us. And, I could replicate that with a number of others that I could talk about in our own branch and in some of the adjoining branches that they have been successful, It doesn't go to my head or anything, but I am the Uptron of County Corky or County Board, and the president of Cork County Board of Coldair Branches. But it doesn't get to me. I rather be I love encouraging youngsters to take up. And by the way, we have an instrument bank in our branch where we started with an idea, and now we have approximately 20 grand of work between what we have in the bank ready to buy instruments, and we lease out the instruments, or we loan them out, or we hire them out. And the whole idea, we have the money, put the instrument in the child's hand, or maybe an old person, because, as I said, there were several old people. I don't know how many old age pensioners, and the old age pensioners are 66 here in Ireland at the moment. And there are a lot of people that are over that age, and they're still only not long joined and learning,
And is there anything else you'd like the people to know about yourself and your life with Comhaltas?
Well, sure, it's it's a labour of love. It's what I love doing. You're one of the family. When we get our teeth into a thing, we love to see it be successful and make things happen. So we made several attempts to bring the All-Ireland Flagpole to Cork, and we brought the National Council down, and we went for we were voted on a number of times, and we hope that would be an aspiration that we will bring the All-Ireland Flagpole to Cork City. Cork City is a town within a city, and where we were going to put it was a village within the town, within the city, within the country. So that's an ambition. We have all the ingredients for it, all within easy reach, because it's that above in Drogheda there were 400,000 people attended. It's a massive. There was more, 450. I'd not just he hadn't tried to round it up anyway,
To be closer to 500,000 before we finish.
Absolutely.
But tell me, what's your hope now for Comhaltas and the branches throughout the world? Is there anything beyond bringing the flag to Cork? Is there something that you would hope to imagine might happen?
Well, I would hope that the people coming to the connectivity that there is in Comhaltas. Like, I go to the National Congress, and we would meet all the American delegates and meet the delegates from Great Britain. We had to canvass them all for forthcoming events, but we know them all. We know everybody, and is to keep up the connectivity. Like, the American input into the flagpole is huge, and they have had over the years several winners. So traditional Irish music is very much alive in America. A lot of the music went over when the Irish immigrated 100 years, or maybe 100 more, or 150 years ago, and came back then again, So, like, there's a huge wealth of Irish traditional music in America. So with an Irishman as the president now, I think he could get him in as the patron of Comhaltas Ceoltóirí and Comhaltas Ceoltóirí for the States,
We might get him to take up the whistle. Well, listen, thanks very much, Dado. Thanks, Barry. Great to talk to you, and we'll talk to you again soon.
And a happy and a healthy New Year to everybody. Slán.
Slán.